listening will know who's in this particular meeting.
Okay, so I don't have to call for a motion to open session. We're in right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody. And I think I've heard everybody, so I'm going to call roll so the public knows that you are in attendance. So being that we are still in pandemic circumstances, it's very difficult to pull off in-person meetings. So thank you for joining me. I will call roll those of us first that are attending by telephone or webinar. So I will start off with Supervisor Steve Gallardo.
I'm here, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Supervisor Steve Chukri.
Here.
Thank you, Steve. Supervisor Bill Gates.
Here.
Thank you, Bill. Vice Chairman Jack Sellers.
Here.
Thank you, Jack. And Fran, I'm here too, I think. So, or should I have asked my Vice Chairman to see if I was here? Okay. So we're all here. Thank you, guys. Thanks for making the time to take care of the county business. Item number 1 is amending the contract for the Small Business Support Program. And Leanne Bone is here joining us today. And first of all, I'll open it up to any questions if we have any, because I do want, Leanne, maybe it might be good if you come up to the speaker for a second in case there are any questions or any statements before I call for a motion. We will go, there are 4 items on the agenda today. I'm taking them individually to give us all a chance to ask any questions or ask for any updates. So Leanne is joining us on the phone. Is there any questions or statements you would like to make on item number 1 before I call for a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it's Steve Chukri. Just one quick question. Leanne, you told us in a prior meeting about the need, and properly so, to increase the fee that we're paying to ACF. And I just wanted to know, how did we go from 1.9 to 3.25? I'm sure there's some matrix or whatnot that we followed that runs alongside administering these types of grants and the like. And we know it's a lot of work as well, because there's obviously things that they need to check on and make sure that each applicant is following the right procedures. And then secondly, I just wanted to make sure that, yes, we are doing 40 million in this action item, Mr. Chairman. So those were just the 2 questions.
Okay, great.
I wanted to confirm with Leanne.
Perfect. Leanne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Chukri. So when we initially created this program with Arizona Community Foundation, they had identified an administrative rate of 1.9%, which was fine for the initial phase when we pushed out about 2.4 million. When we changed the requirements to allow businesses that had received other forms of federal aid, the number of applicants just exploded, and it was not they needed to bring on more staff to actually support the program and to meet our timeframes. We do ask for kind of a quick turnaround on these applications, so businesses don't spend weeks waiting to hear whether or not they are receiving a grant. So we asked ACF to identify the additional positions that they would need to bring on a temporary basis, and then essentially the math led them to that 3.25% administrative rate. It still is quite a bit lower than a lot of the administrative rates we see. 10% is not at all uncommon. So I'm still fairly pleased with this rate, thinking that it's still relatively low. And then, yes, Supervisor Chukri, we are adding $40 million to this program, to the 23 that was already there.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Leanne, for all your work on this. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Because I cannot see your hands, I'll go first with Bill Gates. Bill, do you have any statements, questions, or comments?
No questions. Just grateful for Leanne and her team for the great work on this. And this vote that we're about to take is going to extend a lot more relief for our small businesses that are hurting both in District 3 and throughout the county. So thank you.
Great. Okay, Supervisor Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I'd just like to echo both my colleagues there. Just great job, Leanne. I know these are challenging times. Businesses are suffering. We've all heard the the different horror stories out there that these businesses are faced right now. And no one anticipated this pandemic to last as long as it has, but the resources are there. They're provided by the federal government to do exactly this, help in this crisis and help these businesses get through. So just very excited to see this move forward. And again, thank you, Leanne and her whole team for the work they've done, and also the Community Foundation. I know they've had a heavy lift as well. So great job, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Supervisor Sellers.
Yes, I'd just like to echo the other comments. I feel like this is exactly the kind of thing that we need to be doing to ensure that we can help small businesses that are so critical to our economy get through this as seamlessly as they can. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
You're not going to let me ask any questions first?
No.
Oh, too bad. I own the microphone right now. Thanks. I just wanted to ask, this is a significant spend, of CARES money or putting it out there. And I agree, trying to help our businesses survive this thing, whatever we can do. These businesses have had a hand in expanding our tax base. So to me, it looks this is a way that they can use their own dollars that they paid into the government. I hope to be able to sustain them, or use to sustain them and to sustain their employees to continue to support Arizona with their tax and their tax payments. So I just wanted to ask a couple questions first before I have a motion, and I'll look for a second here because I think it's feeling good right now. The question I have for you, Leanne, is because I think we asked for a little bit of research also, and hopefully I'm not catching you flat-footed, but clearly we are going to ask for Phoenix and Mesa to now participate in the CARES funding that was given to the county, and both of these entities had the ability to use their CARES funding as well. So my question is, how much money did Phoenix and Mesa put forward to their small businesses with their individual programs? And has Phoenix and Mesa confirmed that they've spent their money out, or are they still sitting on a fund as well?
Mr. Chairman, those are great questions. I wish I could remember the exact amounts they both put into their initial small business programs. I do not, but I can get that for you. I don't believe that either one fully spent the money they had allocated, but they did have those exclusions for businesses that had received other forms of aid like payroll protection. So we found that was a big difference in our program. I believe Phoenix still has some portions of their program continuing, so businesses would technically be eligible if they are located in Phoenix for both the Phoenix program and for Maricopa County's program. That's true for several other of the cities as well that received CARES money through the state, such as Chandler and Glendale, I believe. And then City of Mesa does not have an active small business program right now, but has asked if they could work through our program to help fund a portion of the Mesa businesses, and have agreed to financially support that.
Okay. Well, we all know that Phoenix and Mesa are I believe the two largest cities in Maricopa County, and they have thousands of businesses that contribute also to the Maricopa County tax base. Also, we need to keep them in business. We need to do the best we can, but we also have a lot of small other regional cities. I've reached out, and I think my colleagues have reached out to individual chambers of commerce. I know I had a Zoom call with 3 of them in attendance, and they were going to fan out and let them know. But I've asked them to help us with this and to help people know, because I just don't know how many businesses in our regions even know that this exists. And if we are going to utilize this as almost a bridge fund to keep them in business, they need to know about it, especially if they're struggling right now. I think Supervisor Gallardo talked about that, about reaching out to really micro businesses in his district to make sure that they stay in business. So I appreciate that. With this change, is there a part in here in our spending priority that we can offer the ability to the chambers of commerce can we reimburse them for any type of marketing program to get people enticed quickly? Will that be on another program or another vote in order to do that as it stands right now?
So, Mr. Chairman, that would have to be a separate program. That's not included in what we have lined out for the small business program. But I do think there's an opportunity to reimburse organizations that market, as long as their marketing is targeted widely and not only to membership. I do believe there's an opportunity for reimbursement.
Okay.
So we'll work on that next.
Okay. Thank you. I think they would be vital right now in getting the word out. So I appreciate it. So, that might be coming to our board at some point, but we probably need to have an eye towards that, because they would definitely show their strength as chambers of commerce, and not just members, of course, but to all. So, with that, everybody, I have
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Steve Chukri.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but one commitment I made to you and my colleagues, and I know that Mr. Sellers agrees too, because he shares Mesa's, that I had a breakfast or a lunch, last week with the vice mayor, actually the Monday we had our e-session, and explained to him our expectations and that they may need to modify their program and beyond. And I think I've got every assurance from him, and I know Paige has gotten that from their government affairs team. So I just want to make sure all of you know that we are making sure that they understand kind of our expectations. And Mr. Chairman, I don't disagree with you on the chamber front. We just have to make sure that there are protocols they have to follow, correct? That we get our bang for our buck, and that they're demonstrating more than just sending the news out in an email. But I would support you in that, just as long as there are metrics to prove that we're getting the word out and they're being compensated appropriately for that.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that I got that question out in the open, because there are metrics that we have to prove. Every dollar is auditable that fits in and comports into the federal guidelines that they've offered, limited that they may be. We just need to be absolutely make sure that we do the best of our abilities to comport with what they have in mind. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Steve Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. Your questions that you've offered on the table right now just kind of lit off a light bulb for me. So thank you for those questions. But I couldn't agree more with the statements. I think there's a level of I guess, responsibility that all 5 supervisors have to go out and try to let as many businesses that they have relationships with or know, or even talk to some of our local chambers and other organizations to get the word out. My question, though, is for Leanne, and that is, I know we're doing the increase for the Community Foundation, and I think Shukri touched a little bit on it. On that increase to the Community Foundation, does it outline or does it mention anything about their outreach or what they're doing to inform the community and the public of this program? Is that included in that increase? Do we know, or?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gallardo, yes, the initial contract that we created, that we've now amended, includes a marketing campaign that ACF must administer, and that does include reaching out to cities, towns, chambers, and using social media to spread the word.
Okay, that's a very critical part, and I know, and I couldn't agree more, Mr. Chairman, with your statements in terms of utilizing. Let it be a chamber or whoever out there that really has, a kind of a roots in the community in terms of particularly the small business. When I talk about small businesses, I'm talking about a truly small business. I'm talking about business, less than 15 employees. Those are the businesses that are really struggling, and more than likely, if they're closed down, they're not going to have the resources to reopen up when we're done with this pandemic. And those are the businesses. There's so many. We all have them in our districts that are never going to reopen again. They're not. They're shut down, and they're never going to have an opportunity to reopen. So hopefully, some of the resources that we have in front of us that are going to go out in the community are going to keep, if a business from ever closing. And I think that ultimately is our goal. And I hope we get the money out there in the community as fast as we can. But it's more importantly, I believe, to really let folks know that this program exists. And some of the smallest businesses have no idea that this program is out there. So I think it's upon us all to make sure that, and I'll take full responsibility as well on behalf of District 5, that we let our businesses know. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, not to keep this going, I apologize, but
sure.
Something Mr. Gallardo said harkens back to when we talked about this before, and that is, and I think this would have to be very surgical and strategic, but entities like Chicanos por la Casa and others that are really focused on certain niches of our business community. When Steve says 10 to 15 employees, obviously they are very dialed in. Also, I'm assuming you're thinking of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and those. I would like to see those included. Again, there has to be guardrails as to how this money can be distributed. But I think the more granular we can get in some of these cases, I think the more value we can provide. And we certainly saw this when we adapted the program, thanks to Joy and Leanne's thought process a month or so ago. And I think they would be a great resource as well as we're looking forward here. Sorry, I'll shut up now, Mr. Chairman.
You never have to shut up. Good. That's great discussion. I know that we've talked a lot about this in the planning stages that we can't go too much into, but we know that all these points brought up for the public to know what we are looking at is, I think, very helpful as we go towards a vote on this. So I believe I have a motion. Whoever would like to make a second.
I'll second it. There you go.
I almost think that was a three-way. That was a three-way tie for the first time I've ever seen. I'm going to give it to Supervisor Gallardo. So good job, Steve, because I can see you.
It's a West Valley thing. It's a West Valley.
It's a West Valley thing. All right. I have a motion and a second to accept item 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. We will now move on to item number 2. Item number 2 is a lease agreement, L-7510 with 1900 University, or UNIV, I guess, AZ LLC. I know that Scott Jarrett is, I hope. Scott, are you on the phone? If there's any questions? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Jarrett does not appear to be on the line.
Okay, I thought he was going to attend if there was any question. Is anybody from the elections department on the line in case there's any questions?
I will certainly reach out to them immediately.
Oh, no. That's if they know this agenda was up here. If they, let me just first ask if we need to get somebody on the phone. Does anyone feel we need to dial out to see if elections will be on here for the agenda for any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to Bill Gates. So
Second.
Motion by Steve Chukri, second by Bill Gates. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, we'll now move on to item number 3, which is to rescind and replace agreements between Maricopa County Board of Supervisors and the Maricopa County Workforce Development Board. I hate to do this to you, Leanne. I have a question on this one too. On a question too. So before I look for a motion, do I have any of my colleagues want to have a question or comment on item number 3? Okay, so I'll just ask my question then. Leanne, thanks for coming back up here. And I know firsthand how much hard work that you have been putting onto this for the board. Joy, that includes you as well. We were under the gun, and I hope that we are slowly emerging from being under the gun and maybe just a soft hammer, I hope. So I just wanted to ask you real quickly, we've gone on a full sprint to try to get people on this board. And all of us know how important it is to keep boards filled, and if we can have a hand in putting people from the public, I think it makes it easier also to explain what government is, especially when you have volunteers in their own specialties be able to participate in government. And workforce development is extremely, extremely important right now with what we're looking at with the economy and unemployment, and doing whatever we can to keep people either in their jobs or in a trade that's hiring, getting them trained up, skilled, and getting them connected with the people that will hire them. My question is, at this point, maybe the other board members know this, but are there still vacancies on that board?
Yes, Chairman Hickman. So I think the good news is that of the 19-person board, we have 17 of those slots filled. 10 of those have been filled since, I think, February of this year. So we've had a lot of turnover, but we've put some remarkable individuals on that board. The last 2 spots to fill are business slots. We have both of our small business slots filled, so that's great news. Those are sometimes harder to fill. So these are 2 regular business slots, could be small business, but they have to be people of a policymaking authority in what we consider to be in-demand industries. So healthcare, finance, construction, IT. There's a couple more, and I can share that list with you as well. But if you know of anyone, I'm more than happy to reach out and have an initial conversation with them.
So, thank you, Leanne. I think all of my colleagues have been working with this, and from the feedback I'm hearing is we have all had a hand in putting spectacular members that are willing to give a little bit of their time to public service. And quite frankly, I just want to thank 1,000 times over the new chairman, Matt McGuire, for all of his hard work. Leanne, your hard work. So we have 2 spots to fill. And I think this shows people we mean business, because we're getting the best of business to be on this board. So I guess I'm calling out to my colleagues. If they've heard the two areas that are still open, if you can think of somebody, people in your district, large employers in your district that comport to those big business needs, I think we certainly could use your help in finding those last 2 slots and show the state that we do things great here in Maricopa County. So I implore my colleagues that if we have 2 more spots to fill, let's get them filled before we roll into the next couple months. So with that,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Bill.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for your leadership and helping shepherd this through. We're working on someone from the tech industry right now, so hopefully we can bring something forward here in the near future. But thanks again for all you're doing on this.
Fabulous. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Okay, did we get a motion yet? No. Okay, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Well, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Supervisor Gallardo. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Again, thank you, Leanne. I'm giving you a workout today. How do you know I won't call you up for number 4? Number 4, permitting for large special events. So Jen Pekorski is joining us. Jen, I'm going to make you get up. Just for the heck of it. Because, again, you have been working awfully hard. This is absolutely COVID related. I think Supervisor Gates brought our attention to this matter. The weather is changing. Now we're starting to see where this is going to come into effect, large gatherings of the public, and if they comport with public safety requirements and how we are going to feel good about blessing these types of things as they come up here in the next couple months. So Jen is at the microphone. Is there any questions or comments on item number 4? Okay, no questions or comments. Jen, you might be able to get out of here scot-free. Jen, again, thank you to your staff for working hard on this. And we are about to ask for a vote. So, on item number 4, permitting for large special events. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion, but just a quick comment as well, and just thank Jen and the entire staff on working on this. We had a great discussion yesterday, her and I and Chris, talking about one of our facilities out here in District 5. There's a couple of still some gray areas in the executive order, but nonetheless, I think we have a good plan in front of us to allow businesses and other special events to continue to operate and be able to open some stuff up for our community, at the same time keep them safe. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's our number one goal, is keeping the community safe and healthy, and still being able to have some of these special events that everyone's looking forward to, particularly as the weather is cooling off. I mean, every evening I'm sitting outside now and enjoying the weather. So as the weather cools off, as you stated, people want to get out, they're looking for stuff to do, and to be able to have these types of special events and just keeping people safe is a good thing for me. So thank you.
Great. Thanks for the comment, Steve. Okay, we have an motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Jen, for joining us today. All right, that covers everything. So I believe that I can get you guys back on doing what you're doing wherever you are. I appreciate you attending, and we are adjourned.
Great, thank you.
And you got your room. 15 minutes to spare.